reports this morning that Manchester United are about to submit a £40 million bid for Raphael Varane. In separate reports, Man United and Chelsea are both keen on Jan Oblak and are attempting to create a situation to bring him to the Premier League this summer. We're going to delve into this in much more detail. We want your views. We want your opinions on this news this morning. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. Get your comments in. Let's go, people. Morning, everybody. Interesting transfer news this morning to sink our teeth into. As ever, we want your views and opinions on the validity of these stories, the likelihood of these stories to come to fruition, to happen, to be tangible in any which way. That's the point of the Football Terrace, generally speaking, is to give you the chance to discuss these rumours. There's a big story circulating this morning that Manchester United and Chelsea are both interested in Jan Oblak. Why would they not be? One of the best goalies in the world. And this is because Oblak has had two offers put on the table to move to England from both Chelsea and Manchester United. The link for that is in our description below. How many of you are buying into this story? I'll give you my thoughts on that in just a few moments' time as well. Equally, this broke yesterday afternoon, but we're speaking about it today. Man United set to make a £40 million bid for Raphael Varane. It says here that the Real Madrid, I'm going to move this over here so I can read it a bit easier. It says Real Madrid defender Raphael Varane has emerged as Man United's number one target this summer with a bid of £40 million understood to be in the offering. What I find interesting about both these stories is this £40 million bid for Varane and suddenly wanting a new goalkeeper. These are suddenly now the priority. These are now being considered as more important than, say, Sancho or a CDM. And I also believe that if this weekend we get overrun in the midfield, but we defend well, and the goalie has a blinder, Declan Rice will be the number one target, or indeed he'll be the number one target. I don't think there's any secret that Manchester United Football Club have been looking to bolster the defensive ranks. There is still a lot to be desired in terms of our goalkeeping options. I get this feeling there's a lot of arguments at the moment about who should Man United have in the defence. There's a lot of arguments in relation to that. There's this whole notion of David De Gea should stay in goal, or Dean Henderson should be given an opportunity. I don't think either are good enough anymore, or David De Gea isn't good enough anymore. And I don't know if Dean Henderson is ready. We saw that the other night against Liverpool. We've seen a number of high-profile mistakes from him. I'm unsure on Dean Henderson. I'm equally not sure that David De Gea is ever going to go back to being the player that he is. I think it's a little bit of weak journalism or PR from Manchester United to connect us to Jan Oblak. On the Raphael Varane situation, I just can't see it happening. I just can't see it happening. We're going to go into both stories in a little bit more detail for you in a few moments' time. 442 reporting this, caught offside 90 minutes. Multiple media outlets as well have picked up on these stories as well. Just not convinced myself. Not convinced myself at all. But I want your views. I want your opinions on this as part of the Football Terrace community, because that's what we exist for. Let's go to your comment. Chris here. This is a great comment. He says Oblak would cost like 120 mil. And that's the bang on right. That's it. He would cost an exorbitant amount of money. Do Man United even have that amount of money? I don't know. Legit, I don't know. If we've got 120 mil. The reason I say that, we don't even have enough money to buy Declan Rice. I see another story yesterday. People really misconstrued in what Dean Jones has said in the media. People twisting his story. Yes, West Ham are looking at Matic. They're looking at Phil Jones as well as Jesse Lingard. And yes, if all three of those players want to join West Ham, there would be an outside chance of involving Declan Rice as a makeweight in that deal. But do Matic and Phil Jones want to join West Ham? Are they willing to pay the wages that those players want? It's not even it's not even worth holding on to as an expectation. Man United have made it very clear there isn't that much money to spend this summer. And that's becoming ever more. Unless we sell a high-profile player, it looks unlikely. This is why the Glazer pressure has to be kept. This is why this club will always... Listen, Man United will appear to have had a great season to Arsenal and to Tottenham fans. And you know what? In terms of us growing back to where we want to be, it's a good stepping stone. My fear is that this is where it ends. This is the level that the Glazers are happy with. I don't know if there's going to be enough investment to push us on, to get to where Chelsea are heading to be where Man City are right now. I am personally unconvinced. Man United should be linked with the Raphael Varanes, the Oblaks, the Sanchos. With the money in the game in the modern, in this contemporary time, with the income of our football club, that is who we should be buying. But we don't. Glazeronomics will always be at play at this football club. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. So in terms of these transfers, I do believe that we may try to sign. I do believe that we may try to sign Raphael Varane. I genuinely do. Chelsea, though, they're the front runners in that deal. I have 2 out of 10 confidence in that deal happening. Do I believe there's likely to be a bid? I'm going to rate that a 4 out of 5. A 4 out of 5 in terms of likelihood that it's going to happen. Likelihood that it's a true link, but 2 out of 10 chance of it being done. Jan Oblak, 0% chance of happening. 0 out of 10. And the validity of the link, I'm going to give it 2 stars out of 5. For me, I think it's lazy journalism. I think it's typical after a goalkeeper has a bad game for us to be linked with one, not buying it for a single second. In terms of the Declan Rice situation, I read 3 or 4 articles yesterday across numerous, more sort of fan-led modern media about swap deals and the Declan Rice deal was alive. As it stands right now, Declan Rice to Manchester United is not happening. That deal is not on the table because Manchester United have not been given the funds by the Glazers. There is not the money at the club. If the Glazers change their mind, if they enable more money to be spent, then maybe Declan Rice can happen. If there's a sale of a valuable asset, then maybe Declan Rice will happen. But at this moment in time, it is not an affordable deal. 30, 40 million pound for Raphael Varane, that's fine. 30, 40 million pound for a Basuma, maybe a Ruben Diaz, fine. But 70 to 100 million pound for a Declan Rice, north of 90 million for Oblak, not happening this summer at Manchester United Football Club. So don't be dragged into it. Like, seriously, don't be dragged into it. Get your super chats in this morning. We've had our first one here. Thank you very much indeed. It says, no one really talks about the fact that our midfield is average. Our midfield loses possession in key areas, which makes our defense more vulnerable. It really does. It really. And do you know what's interesting? Our best midfielder is Paul Pogba. And that's also his vulnerability when deep in his own half. His ball retention in his own half is not great. In start of the season, McTominay was flying in that area. His ball retention in his own half was amazing. As the season's gone on, he's got progressively worse. Fred is atrocious at that element. Matic is okay at it. Van der Beek, not too great either. We saw that in a few occasions, but he's not had too much of an audition. We don't have a midfielder who is overtly comfortable holding possession in our own final third of the pitch. That is absolutely spot on. Spot on. Spot on. There's no doubt about that. Let's get that like button hit right now, people. Let's get that like button hit for the terrace right now. Zaza says Pogba is not a good defensive player. You're absolutely right, he's not. Because that isn't his game for me. And I like when Paul Pogba is 20 yards further up the field, he is sensational. But Pogba, like Fred, like McTominay, they are all weak with the ball in the own final third. In terms of ball retention, they give the ball away, they give away petulant fouls in different ways. And that's an area where Pogba's not as bad as the other two, but we don't have anybody that's exemplary. We don't have anybody that excels in that position. We simply do not. We simply do not. Somebody says, oh God, eye test. What's eye test? The way that Ollie has disrespected David De Gea is disgusting. Look, I wouldn't necessarily say it's disgusting. I think that's hyperbolic. I think that's exaggerated. He needed to give Dean Henderson an opportunity. He needed to do that, in my opinion. You're never going to know whether Dean Henderson was good enough without giving him that chance. Has the experiment worked? The answer is no, in my opinion. The experiment hasn't worked. So because it hasn't worked, we need to look to move on from that. And we haven't done. I'm going to go through both these stories about Jan Oblak and Raphael Varane in a bit more detail. Then what I need from you all to do is hit that like and share button. But before that, we're going to share the link right now for you to come on and have your say. I'm going to share it on our Discord server with our wonderful community over there. Nearly 3,000 users on that, by the way. What's nice, we grow by about 15, 20 users a day over there, which is amazing. So really pleased with the growth of that of the server over there. So I'm going to put it in the general chat. You'd all come and have a little chat and call in now and have your say because we want your views and we want your opinions on these stories. That, you know, these players that are being linked to Manchester United. That's now been shared over there. There we go. I actually like watching you all argue in the in the comment section over there as well. But Discord's great. Do it in the live chat over here though, please. Bring that chat over here as well as the Discord. Maybe I should have the Discord open at the same time. Morning, Dinesh. Hope you are well, my friend. Dinesh here says you're right about a midfield with Fabinho in Liverpool makes a difference to Liverpool. Of course it does. A top-class holding midfield player is that protection, isn't it? I remember Man United even had this problem under Fergie in the latter years. We didn't have a strong midfield core. You had an aging Scholes. You had Carrick that was more about dictating play and possession as opposed to breaking it up. He was not a bad interceptor, but we didn't have a great shield. We didn't have a strong midfield. We had the Hendersons and the Cleverleys and the Gibsons in front of it as part of it. And it meant that our defense was exposed more than it should have been. If we would have fixed those defensive areas sooner, Man United would have maybe won a little bit more even in the latter years. And remember, Man United under the Glazers didn't sign a midfielder from 2007 until 2014. Man United went 7 years without signing a centre-back. I need to just change the settings on these lights for a second. They're too bright. And they're bothering me. That's better. There we go. Sorry about that. They were too bright and they were getting on my nerves. But there we go. Remember, you can call in. Why is no one calling in this morning? What's going on with you, man? Normally, you guys are keen. Get yourselves on, have a little chat. Zaza here says, I want to give Ollie credit, but he makes so many simple mistakes and lets constantly players play in the wrong positions. For me, I think it's just a really simple thing of I can praise Ollie for the things that he does well, and I will criticize Ollie for the mistakes that he makes. It isn't too deep for me. Like, legitimately, it really isn't too deep for me in terms of the praise versus the frustration, as it were. Like that, I can just separate those two things fairly simplistically, really. But I do hear you. I do hear where you're coming from in relation to that. I really do. We're going to go to some calls now. Saif is backstage. This will be an interesting one to see what he's got to say about these links this morning. I'm intrigued to know what he's got to say. Let's do some comments before that. Terry, how is it going to work? Henderson wants to be number one. He's adamant even if we sell De Gea and go get Oblak. How do we solve the number one conundrum? I don't get it. Until United wages 24 million on 2 goalies. It's very simple how we solve the problem. We have to pick the right one and have one of those. I don't think you can't have all three. You can't have Oblak, De Gea, and Dean Henderson at your club. I don't think you can have a combination of any of the two. You need one of them and a backup goalkeeper. None of them are backup goalkeepers. It's whether or not they're good enough at the elite end of that spectrum. For me, having watched Dean Henderson now for a number of weeks, I would sell both in an ideal world, this isn't real life. This isn't. Can it happen? I would sell both and get Oblak. I would sell that Dean Henderson 20, 30 million, and then maybe try and get De Gea back to Atletico and see if a deal could be done. If I'm to pick one, that's what I would do. Is that going to happen? Not on your Nelly. Not on your Nelly. Man United are not signing Oblak, in my opinion. I can't even see it. It's not even something that, when I saw the link, my first thought was, that's just lazy, bruv. Pure, unadulterated, lazy, weak journalism. That's literally it. That's all it is. And for me, yeah, I was frustrated by it because of how lazy it was. Legitimately frustrated at how lazy that journalism was. Shane here says, Terry, from 1st to 18th in the table, how many clubs will swap the midfield to for Fred and McTominay? Do you know what's interesting? That's a great question. That's actually, Shane, you could win the prize today, Shane. You could win the prize today on the show. That's an amazing question. Get your super chat questions in. Compete with Shane to go into the prize draw to win a shirt of your choice. Now, who would swap? Oh, it's hard, you know. No one in the top 6 would swap their midfield for our midfield. It's either weaker or no better, really, in the cold light of day. Maybe Arsenal. No, because they've got Partey, so they wouldn't swap both, right? I was thinking El Neni and Xhaka. You start moving down. Wolves, don't know. Everton wouldn't. You start dropping. I don't think Villa would. It's a difficult one for me. I don't think Southampton would. Ward-Prowse is better than McTominay, in my opinion. And I like McTominay and I like Fred, but they're not that great. That is a wonderful question. We're going to start going to your calls now. First on the show, hasn't been on for a while. We're going to get Saif on, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a little chat with Saif. I wonder how safe it's going to be. But bad joke. It's a very, very, very bad joke. Saif is now here. Saif is with us. What you saying, mate?
Hi, Terry, man. How are you?
I'm very, very good. What's on your mind?
Well, what's on my mind is we do need a goalkeeper, first of all. I would rather sell Henderson, De Gea, and get Oblak. We do need a centre back. We do need one DM, like Kante, a player like Kante. But there's some good news for you. Since having been on the football terrace for almost a few weeks, I found a better player than Sancho.
Oh, who?
Okay, his name is, if you write Chiesa. Chiesa.
Iesa. Yeah,
he's
who's
an
he?
Italian football player. He's in loan from Fiorentina to Juventus. He plays as a right winger.
Yes.
And his stats is magnificent.
How do you say his name?
Chelsea, I think.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Yep.
I saw he's got a couple of goals against Porto this season. Yes.
Of course. And his assist here in 28 games, I think he done about 10 or 11. He has scored more goals. So he's a far better player than Sancho. Manchester United should sign him. He's younger than Sancho.
Well, he's on loan. He's on loan until the end of next season, so that'd be very difficult to do. And what makes you think he's better than Sancho, in your opinion? What makes him better than Sancho?
Because his assist is far better than Sancho. It's facts. If you check his assist online, you see his assist is much superior than Sancho. He's younger. He's a better quality player. He's much stronger. He can play in 3 or 4 positions. He can play as a forward, as a number 9. He can play as a right wing, left wing, variety of positions. Sancho can only play on the right wing.
What?
Check his stats. It's a fantastic player, believe me. So he can play as a winger and he can play as a forward, as a number 9, I think.
He doesn't play as a number 9. He plays primarily on. He plays on the right and he plays on the left. That's it.
Yes, and
I don't think he's ever kicked a ball as a number 9 at Juve.
But he's a better player than Sancho. Is that facts?
I'm a lie. He's played 1 game this season at centre forward. Is he better than Sancho? Not. I think he's very good, but not better, in my opinion. Not in my opinion.
Okay, so what would you want to sign an 80 million pounds player? Okay, and Sancho might be playing rubbish in the league. That 80 million pounds money can go on the bin. Where we can sign this player Chelsea is about 50 or 60 million pounds, much
Yeah, well,
cheaper.
he's not going to be 50 or 60 million pounds, is he? Because what would happen? This is the way money works in football. If Manchester United suddenly said, we don't want Sancho, we want this young man, whoever the selling club would be, and I'm not too sure on the arrangement between Fiorentina and Juve, whether there's a compulsory purchase at the end, whatever. Let's just say we're dealing with Fiorentina. Fiorentina are going to look at that and say, well, you were prepared to pay 80 million pounds for Sancho. So we want 80 million pounds for our guy. That's how supply and demand works. So you'd end up paying the same amount of money. Why pay the same amount of money for someone that isn't as good? That's what I would say, mate. But Saif, listen, appreciate you coming on and having your top man. Thank you. Saif thinks we shouldn't buy Sancho. Do you agree? Chai with Gary says a defensive coach is what is needed. No amount of signings can fix the defensive cohesion on the unit as a unit. Now I hear you. I was reading yesterday that at Manchester United, 33% of all goals conceded this season have come from set pieces. That's excluding penalties. If you throw penalties into that, it's about 40%. That's an easy fix. In my opinion, it's an easy fix. You bring in a set piece coach. That should be one of our number one signings this summer. A specialized set piece coach that can get us better at that. If we could reduce the amount of goals from set pieces, that alone could put Man United into a title race. Legitimately could put Manchester United back into a title race. We've conceded, I think, 40 goals this season. Nearly 20 of them in the league have been through set pieces. Take 20 goals, just take 15 goals off of our total goals conceded. We're at like mid-20s, mid to high 20s. And a lot of the times where we've conceded from set pieces, it's been opening goals, equalizers. Think about the opening goal against Sheffield United. Although it should have been disallowed, it still went in. Should have won that game. Could have kept us in a title race. Throwing away the lead to Everton in the last moment from a set piece. You know, both the opening goals for Liverpool from a set piece. We were comfortable until that point, really. Liverpool were coming on strong, but we were comfortable. There's been so many occasions. That's just off the top of my head. You went and looked and you deeped it. So many goals from set pieces that have cost Man United dear. You're absolutely right. I wouldn't even say defensive coach. A set piece specialist is of the most paramount importance to Manchester United Football Club. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Next on the show, man like Abs is here. Morning, Abs. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, bro. Oh God, do you mind if I share my screen just to disprove what this guy said earlier?
Yeah, go on, share it, mate, and we'll get it up.
Yeah, sure. So first and foremost, he said about flipping. What's it called? He was talking about stats. Let me just prove to you about the whole stats argument. Chiesa this season, according to transfer market, let's compare leagues alone and then take everything out because Sancho already rinses him. In the league, man's got 8 goals and 9 assists. Jadon Sancho, in comparison, has 8 goals and 11 assists. And then if you compare in total, he has 16 goals and 19 assists. So this whole thing about Chiesa having better stats is a load of rubbish, to be perfectly honest.
Of course it is. And on top of that, you've also got to take into consideration that Sancho is 2 years younger as well. So he's younger and I know that Juve haven't had a good season this year overall, right? But I actually think Juve are a much stronger team overall than Borussia Dortmund from front to back. They should have done a lot better this year. I think the appointment of Pirlo as the manager was part of the downfall. They would have had a more experience. If Allegri was still managing them this season, I think that squad wins the league. You know, a manager is important. He's a good player. He's a very good player who was mentioned, but I find it very weird that there's so many people out there that are trying to put Sancho down, that are trying to destroy Sancho. I find the whole thing such a weird concept. I really do. On the news this morning, the one I wanted to focus on is Raphael Varane because he is one of the number one targets of Chelsea away from a striker. Man United are reported to have put a £40 million bid or are ready to submit a £40 million bid. Do you feel as a Chelsea fan any fear with Man United looking at one of your number one targets?
Yeah, do you want to be honest? Yes and no, because financially, Man United, if they had proper recruitment, could easily be a juggernaut within the Premier League because they've just got everything, the fan base, stadium, everything on top of that. And, there are times when Man United do end up putting out these really big signings where, they just out of the blue, they signed some of the best players in the world. Remember Di Maria a few years ago when everyone was after him, you pulled him out easy. So that's one area which could make me scared. However, I go back to the point of recruitment, and where I think we're a bit more advanced than Manchester United right now is our recruitment. It's on point. We may not have as much money and resources as you, but we've got got a clear plan and clear vision. And generally, if Roman Abramovich or the manager wants a target, they go and get them before anyone else comes after them. So in that sense, it's a bit of a double-edged sword to get. So I reckon if we bid early for Varane and we put in, a good offer that Ed Woodward isn't necessarily going to put in, even though Ed Woodward's leaving, but the chief executive at Man United, whoever he is, then I think we could cop him off you. But if we let it drag on up until the end of the transfer window, then I think Man United are going to cop him instead.
Well, what's interesting about that's where Man United do have an opportunity, because Chelsea are notoriously in big transfers late bidders. And I was listening to Simon Phillips talking about that, and he's very well to do and very well respected within the Chelsea community. And I listened to his podcast, and they were very much talking about that Chelsea don't, in their opinion, this is anecdotal, so I haven't done research into backing up their point, but they simply said we don't always go in hard and heavy from the beginning. It's almost like we drag our heels a little bit to begin with. So yeah, I sort of look at it and think United have got half a chance, but I'm not confident as a Man United fan going up against Chelsea. I'm just not, because generally when Roman wants a player, he gets that player, really does. Just quickly, off topic, really quickly, how are you feeling about the final today? How are you feeling right now?
It's 50-50, these cup finals and that. Do you want to be honest? I was less confident when we went into the cup final against you, where Hazard won it for us, and you were by far the better team. Whereas this one, it's much more even, and that's what scares me. More time when we go up against teams who we know are our level, that's where the standards drop a little bit. But that's where I think Tuchel's improved us, is that against the bigger teams, or against teams that on paper will be better than us. So like, for example, Atletico Madrid, we played them off the park. So that's where I'm a bit nervous. I hope they've, got it all in here, and I hope they just, keep their focus and their composure. And yeah, we just need to win today. I'm probably saying 1-0 and extra time, if I'm being perfectly honest. And more importantly, we have to beat Leicester on Wednesday or Tuesday, is one of them two, and secure our place in the top four, because I'm still not sure we're going to win the champs.
Yeah, no, the only thing I disagree with what you said there is I think this is less even of final than Man United Chelsea a few years ago. I think that Chelsea squad that you had there is so underrated. I always feel like there was this notion of Chelsea fans putting down how good that squad was as a way of protecting Eden Hazard. There was almost this element of, let's just say that squad was average or poor, so that every achievement was over high. I thought it was an excellent. I mean, that was a team that a year earlier won the league. Like, I think it was actually better than Man United. I think you won the league the year before. Yeah,
I know, but you say the squad. I'm going to go through and just.
No, we haven't got time for that today. I'm just saying. What I'm saying is that there was that Chelsea squad, that FA Cup final was closer to Man United squad than yours compared to Leicester today. Is the point I'm making. I don't think it's more even today than it was in that game. Where you should be worried is that everybody wrote Chelsea off for that final, and I do feel that too many people are overlooking Leicester going into this one. Listen, mate, thanks for coming on, though, and having your say. Really appreciate that, buddy. Top man. Thank you. Everyone who's tuning in this morning, make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace. You're turning on that bell notification as well. Very, very important to us that you go and that you get that done. Thank you. Thank you very, very much indeed. All right, let's do some more. We're going to have eye test on in a minute. We've got Muzz backstage as well. We've got Dark Side Used that we haven't seen for a while on here as well. We're going to be going to that in a few minutes. Let's do some more of your comments that are coming through. I need to look for comments that are actually about the stream as opposed to just you guys arguing with each other. What are we looking at here? I love this comment here. It says, why do people always play down Sancho? He's so good. He's miles better than Cho and better than Saka. Oh, he's a country mile in front of those two youngsters. And I don't really get where people's disdain for Sancho comes from, or their want or their desire to put him down. I find it, I have to be blunt, I find it embarrassing. Legitimately, I find it legitimately embarrassing. I don't understand it. I legitimately don't understand it at all. Where it comes from, where it stemmed from, where it's been born out of. I don't get it at all. I really, really don't. Next on the show this morning, we're going to be getting eye test. Terry, what's your predictions? I went with Chelsea win. I think Chelsea will win. I think I said 2-1 yesterday. Maybe I said 3-1. I've got 3-1 in my head this morning, so I'm going to go with that. I can't look beyond Chelsea. But if I take my Man United hat off and my want and my desire for an underdog to win, Chelsea just need to respect Leicester to the nth degree. They have to respect them massively. Otherwise, they could be caught out. There's no doubt about it. Next up, eye test is here. Morning, mate. What are you here to say?
Yeah, so I wanna talk about the disrespect towards David De Gea, because the way Ollie's treated him for me is very disgusting. Because if you remember, David De Gea was a first teamer. He was a first teamer, and then he had a child. And what Ollie did, he told him, listen, David, you could go home to your family, Spain, spend time with your family, because he had a child. And wow, he was telling him that in the back of Ollie's head, he didn't do this. He didn't tell De Gea to go to his family because he cares about De Gea, because he wants him to spend time with his family, because he had a plan. He thought, listen, I could send David De Gea away and slowly get Henderson into the first team. Yeah. And then when David De Gea came back, he realized that his place is gone. His place is gone in the first team. That's snaky behavior. And no one's talking about that. That's very snaky behavior. How can you send someone over to spend time with their family after having a child, just to replace him in the first team? That's very snaky behavior. And no one's talking about it. I think it's very disrespectful.
Do you want to know why no one's talking about it?
Why?
Because the way you're presenting it and framing it is not what's happened.
It is what's happened. He sent him over to Spain so he could replace him.
Hang on. Who said that's how it happened?
That's exactly how it happened. I remember exactly how it happened.
No. Wait, who has said that?
We seen it. We seen it in front of our eyes.
No. You've seen. I see what you're doing there, right? So let's break this down. So you've seen David De Gea. By the way, lots of calls for him to be dropped from the first team and Henderson to be given an opportunity from fans as well, by the way. Right? But let's break it down. Yes, he left. He went home. He was given extended leave of absence. And Dean Henderson was given an opportunity and a chance in the team. Okay? That's been done. You are framing that, and many other people are framing that as snaky, disrespectful. Where are the reports that it was done in an underhand, backstabbing way, as you're suggesting? We know that Man United leak like a broken fridge when it comes to stories. Where are the credible reports from journalists, from sources close to the club, from De Gea's representatives, from whoever it may be? Where are the reports of your story? Because all I'm hearing is you and multiple other Ollie outers claim that this is what happened with zero tangible evidence. It's an opinion and it's a fan theory. But let me ask you this question, and I don't want a justification. Where is your evidence, your actual tangible evidence that it was done in a snaky way like you suggest?
Well, I'm the source. I'm telling you that's what happened. Because we see it. No, listen. Bro, we seen it in front of our eyes. I don't need no newspaper to tell me that it's happened, because I seen it in front of my eyes. David De Gea was the first teamer. He was the first teamer.
Okay. Let me just bring us back again. So do you know what conversations happened between De Gea and Ollie?
Yeah, I know that De Gea was first team. Ollie was like, listen.
No, listen.
You're having a child.
Stop. Do you know word for word or even from a paraphrase point of view, what Ollie said to David De Gea. How do you know that David De Gea wasn't told, look, in this time, we're going to be giving Dean Henderson an opportunity. We're going to be giving him an extended run of games as an example. It's a perfect opportunity because it's a clean break. It won't be seen as you're being dropped for any particular reason. You're going to have a few weeks off and we're going to bring him in. How do you know there wasn't an amicable conversation? The reason I say that is because there are no signs. There are no reports. There's not even the body language to suggest underhand behavior is going on. If you actually listen to people that are close to Man United, I agree with people like you about the tactical ineptitude and liability of Ollie at times, or enlarged by in-game management, substitutions, continuing to play Rashford on the right. I agree with you in those elements, but there is no sign, and this is the one thing that Ollie out as our rank wrong about, completely wrong about. There is no disharmony. There is no overt frustration. There is no fallouts between Ollie and De Gea, Ollie and Donny van der Beek, Ollie and Martial. The relationship between him and the players is amazing. The relationship between the players and into the, not senior figures like the Glazers and the board, but chief scouts, coaching operations, is all very, very good at Manchester United. That is very well reported on and documented. So my point again, let's bring this back round. You feel David De Gea has been respected, but nobody inside that dressing room agrees with you. No
Okay,
one.
let me address that.
Let me finish. Let me just finish my point. Nobody at Man United, not one journalist, not one player, not one agent, not one representative. There is not a single word, not one leaked bit of information about disrespect, snaky, backstabbing behavior. So with not 1 ounce of evidence, what gives you the right to go on the internet and not just say that this is your opinion, but to try and state it as a fact? Why are you doing that?
Okay, so you said how do I not know that Ollie did talk to De Gea and tell him, listen, while you're off, we're gonna give Henderson a chance. So he told them, but that's still snaky behavior because then De Gea is put in a difficult situation. He's gonna be thinking. Let me explain because he's gonna be thinking, rah, I have a choice here. Like I have a very difficult choice.
See,
I go to my family and I lose my space.
No, I'm cutting in because you are not twisting it in that way. You are now suggesting that David, again, there is no sign of snaky behavior. If Ollie had said, we're going to give Henderson an opportunity if you go to the birth of your child, that would have been reported on. That would have caused tension. Imagine there's no way David De Gea, with respected teammates, would have stood by and allowed Ollie to do that without there being a ruckus. There is no evidence of by the way, that's illegal, by the way, to do that in any employment capacity in the UK and across Europe. It would have been an illegal action. It would have caused ricochets across the whole of football. If a
Shall I tell you why it didn't?
No, it didn't happen and didn't cause ricochets because what you're saying didn't happen. You are now.
I'll tell you why it didn't cause ricochets. Shall I tell you why?
The only person here that is a disgrace, eye test, is you. You are coming on the internet and with your agenda against Ollie, you are making up lies, basically saying that Ollie this year told David De Gea, you either don't go to the birth of your child or I drop you from the first team. As much as you may dislike Ollie, that is a disgusting lie to create and put out on the internet. You should be thoroughly ashamed of yourself as a man.
Okay, let me tell you why there wasn't a lot of noise around this, because we all know Ollie's the king of PR. Yeah, when he goes to the press conferences, he doesn't like to reveal any information. I even remember when the cameramen were in the training round and Ollie said, take smiling pictures of the goalkeepers. He's the king of PR. He knows how to hide stuff.
Again, eye test. You've fallen for that eye test. It was him being sarcastic. You have Ollie derangement syndrome. You are so consumed by your disdain for him that you are sitting here now on the internet and you are making up lies. You are spreading false rumors. You can't even hear sarcasm in somebody's voice. I have to say, eye test, I enjoy you coming on the show. I like you coming on the show. You have a different take on football to me and I like it. But for you to sit there and make up a disgusting lie about Ollie, that he told David De Gea that he would, the only way to keep his number one slot in the team is by not going to the birth of his child, is a disgrace.
Okay, you tell me what happened, because I'm struggling to understand.
Doesn't make you feel as a man making up a lie like that.
Okay, you explain it to me because I'm struggling to understand. Because what I'm seeing is that De Gea went out to meet his family after his birth, and then De Gea, he suddenly gets replaced by Henderson. I don't understand how. So you explain to me.
Like I've said, none of us know what the conversation was. Okay, none of us, not a single one of us. The point is, if what you're suggesting is true happened, there would have been a reaction. There would have been a story. There would have been a fallout. There would be disharmony. There would be anger from his teammates. We have seen at football clubs, players get ostracized from squads or dropped from teams without explanations, and it causes frictions within the dressing room. Something happens. The relationship Ollie has with these players, forget what you think of him tactically, is amazing. There is not a shred of evidence to suggest that the way David De Gea was dropped was underhand or snaky. The only people saying this are Ollie outers that have framed it in that way. But when you ask them, where have you formulated this opinion from? The answer is always the same as yours. It's what I think happened. But what's your evidence? What makes you think it? You have
Okay.
not.
You try to give me a scenario.
Over again. You have no evidence.
No, but you dodged my question.
That
You
happened.
dodged my question. You dodged my question.
Evidence is there's been no dressing room fallout. There's been no story. There's been no bad body language from David De Gea. There's been not an ounce of evidence to come out that there's been anything underhand or backstabbing or snaky going on. I have tangible evidence in the lack of evidence.
Okay, you dodged my question. My question is,
you are making it up because you don't like Ollie, and I think that is and to even have it as an opinion is fine, but you have no evidence to back up your opinion.
Hold on, but you dodged my question.
Your opinion is born out of your dislike for Ollie. You have not one shred of evidence. If it would have been, do you know what? I read a story in the Athletic about how unhappy David De Gea is with his treatment. Then I'd respect your opinion, but there's nothing.
Okay, but listen, you dodged my question. I'm trying to ask you.
And we know that the media loves to produce stories about Man United. We have a goalie that has a bad game, and we're linked to the world's best goalkeeper the next day. We know what the media does to us. So to have not one story to back up your theory.
Okay, but I'm about to debunk you because you're dodging my question. Because I'm trying to ask you, give me a scenario, like a hypothetical scenario of what could have happened. Because I can't think of a positive scenario.
Already done that.
It's not about that scenario is still very snaky that you've given me.
No. It's not. It isn't snaky in life. There's times where people get opportunities over others. That's real life. That is real life. In normal life, when you're at work, when you're living your life, there are going to be times where your boss says to you, listen, you've been doing this job for a while, or doing this role within your job for a while. We're going to move you on to something else and give somebody else an opportunity in that position. These things happen. It's real life. You get on with it. It's only snaky if it's done underhand. You know, if I turn around and I want to change the host of Midnight Vibes on the Football Terrace, right? If I turn around to KJ and say, KJ says, Terry, I'm going on holiday for a few weeks. And I'm like, okay, cool, great. I'm gonna bring in a replacement for 2 weeks to replace you. That replacement comes in, and when KJ comes back, I'm like, actually, I've got some other plans for you, but I'm going to give this guy an opportunity to keep doing your show for a while. That'd be snaky, especially if I already had the desire to keep that person in that position. If I want to replace KJ and I go up to him and say, look, mate, you've been really good on the show, but I want to freshen it up. I'm going to give somebody else an opportunity for the next 2 or 3 months to run your show. It may not be a nice decision, but it isn't snaky behavior because you're being upfront and you're being honest. And I know for instance, with KJ, that ain't happening, by the way. He would respect me as a man and as a person for my integrity and morality of telling him what's what. That isn't snaky. If you think that's snaky, you have to grow up as a man. You've got to grow up as an adult because that is not snaky behavior. That is real life. My point to you is this, and I'll answer the question again. My opinion, my belief that nothing disgusting or snaky happened is there's not a shred of evidence. There's not been a murmur, a sound that is the only people that have said it are Ollie outers. And I don't trust your impartiality, your subjectivity on this matter because you are so clouded with Ollie derangement syndrome that you twist everything into a bullying, he's snaky. If he was all these things, the dressing room wouldn't work the way it does. The likes of Edison Cavani wouldn't have been convinced by Ollie to stay at the football club. The likes of Paul Pogba wouldn't be singing his praises from the rafters. David De Gea, when you look at them around each other, there's still smiles and there's a closeness. If you actually read the reports, the way David De Gea has been trying to help Dean Henderson through being the first team player in terms of mentoring him shows the professionalism. Why is that all still together? Why are all these things still happening? Ollie may be inept to some people technically. He may not have the formations. He may not have the training patterns. He may not have the aura to lead us back to being a Premier League manager. But to disrespect his management and then to make up lies that he has snaked people, lied to people, to sit here on this show and say that he told David De Gea, if you go home for the birth of your child, you'll lose your #1 slot, is a disgusting thing to even suggest with no evidence of that whatsoever. It really, really is. You should be disappointed in yourself, mate. You really, really should today. Listen, thanks for coming on the show and having your say, mate. But that's such a bad take, my guy. Thank you very much for coming on, though. As I say, you can come on here and give an opinion, but your opinion has to be based on something. There's nothing there other than I want it to be disrespectful and disgusting towards David De Gea, because that's another reason to want him at the club. And I'm not happy with that at all. De Gea played poorly for 2 seasons, leaving the door open. And Gregory's right. That's the bit everybody seems to want to forget here. That door was left open. Was it? I don't even know if it was the right time to bring Dean Henderson in. But actually, Dean Henderson had to be tested in important games and important moments to see whether he's good enough or not. And whenever you drop somebody, for whatever reason, it's a tough decision. But it's only backstabbing. It's only disgusting. It's only unprofessional, snaky, if it's done underhand. If it's done underhand, if you're not open and honest with people. In real life, there are times where you have to make difficult decisions, but you have to own it. And if you own it, you tend to... Every now and then, I've made some tough decisions in this last year in my professional capacity. And some people are very immature. And they take your big decision as we're cutting this show, or at work in my day job. It's like, listen, we're not going to. I have clients where we're almost about to sign contracts, and then we review their business and marketing plans, and we say, you're not actually right for us as a business for these reasons. Sometimes they react very negatively towards you, but you have to stand by these decisions. But as long as you present the whats and the whys, you're integral and you show morality and you're honest. And the way you are privately does differ. Do you know one of the biggest issues I have with current modern day society? People that think you should behave the same privately as you do publicly on all matters. That is outrageous. If you live your life that way, you will fail. There are times where you need to have private conversations and tough conversations and honest conversations privately with people out of respect. And what you say publicly may appear and look a little bit different. Of course you do. Decorum is key. But that seems to be lost on the modern day generation. KJ's with me now. KJ, welcome back, mate. Hey, by the way, you're not being replaced. It was a hypothetical. Just saying.
I wasn't even taking it that way, because I've got common sense. But yeah, and on what I just was trying to say, fam, Dean Henderson was going to get games anyway. You know what I mean? Like, they were planning before it came out that Dave was going to see his birthday child. They were planning to give him games anyway. You know what I mean? Like, so this is not a shock to David De Gea. This is not like wait a second. You told me that when I come back, it'll be fine. Like, it's not that, man. Listen, the agendas are the agendas. It is what it is. But anyway, if we get Varane, listen, we can start protesting for a day and we go back next week. You know what I'm saying? Varane would be an excellent cover. What we need. We've already seen what happens when one of our centre backs are out. That is, when Maguire's out, we just turn into a freaking circus at the back for some reason. You know what I'm saying? And it's in fact, it's not the first time. Remember under Jose, before we got Maguire, Lindelof and Bay was supposed to be our best partnership, and he was freaking mad. You know what I mean? He was always mad under those two, and then it used to be Chris Smalling and Lindelof, because there was that kind of calming presence with Smalling next to Lindelof. Bay is super rash, so you need a composed centre back next to him. Lindelof is a sissy boy, so you need a lot of you need a composed commanding centre back next to him. You know what I mean? So
there's no meat on Lindelof. He is soft in that. He's that guy. If you and your boys are out and it's about to kick off, he's the guy that says, I'm just going to go toilet and don't come back.
Yeah, like literally, like he needs all the support he can get as well. So put in a soft you and a madman next to each other, does not bode well for a partnership. So if we get a Varane in, because apparently it's around 40 million or 50 million pounds for this deal to get done, that's a steal, absolute steal, and we're gonna need that, especially going forward if we're going to progress. Which the last 2 games showed us that we're not there yet, and we need those reinforcements.
And 40 million pounds, if that was the price, is doable on affordability basis for Man United. It fits in with a lot of things that Dean Jones has said around what we can and what we can't. The Oblak news this morning, as we've said, I've rated that as a 2 out of 5 star story and a 0% chance of happening based on the money. The irony is we sold both Henderson and David De Gea. We might be able to raise the money for it.
That's what I'm saying. The only way we get Oblak, I've said it before, is if we give Atletico Madrid De Gea back, you know what I mean, send him back there, and we sell Dean Henderson, and then he's our number 1, and we buy another number 2 goalkeeper.
Yeah, you have the Tom Heaton come back in as an example. There's a few comments here. This is interesting. I wanted to bring this up, and I was back on that point again. Says you sound way too blinded by Ollie in. Do you know what I would say, Sean? When I've heard people criticize the David De Gea Henderson situation, I will respect anybody's opinion when they say, I think it was wrong to do it based on Henderson being better than De Gea or the experiment not working. That's fair. But to sit on the Sean, think about what you're saying here. Just take remove your dislike for Ollie, if you indeed do. Ites just said, out of nowhere, and I know I've heard other YouTubers and big Twitter accounts suggest this as well, that he basically told De Gea, if you go to the birth of your child and stay there for the first week, you lose your first team position. That's a disgusting thing to say. With zero, when Jose was accused of doing that to Martial, there was some tangible evidence because of the way he was talking. I don't know when he's going to be back. I don't know why he isn't here. The way Jose was behaving, it was obvious he was annoyed that Anthony Martial left. There is no evidence. Other than you making the lie up, there is no evidence, not a story, not a fallout, not body language, there's nothing to suggest there was any bad behavior from Ollie in this circumstance. You can question, was it the right decision? But right or wrong decision don't make them disgusting, snaky, or immoral. Those two things are mutually exclusive here, in my opinion. It's not about me being blinded. I'm someone who doesn't think Ollie's a good enough manager for us. I'm not blinded by that. I really don't understand why people look at it and think to themselves, it's okay to make up lies about Ollie because I don't like him. Anyone who says it's disgusting behavior, it's snaky, he done him dirty, ask them what their evidence is. And it comes back to what Ites said there. Ites' words were, I'm the source. I know, it's what I see. No, it's your warped interpretation. Your opinion is based on nothing other than your hatred and your disdain towards Ollie. It's as simple and as straightforward as that for me.
You know what? The thing that annoys me about this whole thing with De Gea and Henderson is that everyone was calling De Gea to be dropped last season and even parts of this season. So drop him. He's making too many mistakes. Sentiment FC, too sentimental. You're only doing this because he used to be our player of the year. To sit any other mansion, he would have got dropped by now. So Ollie drops him. The circumstances may be different, but Ollie relieves him of his duties to go be with his family. And then he comes back and Dean Henderson's done such a decent job that he himself does not deserve to be dropped. And as a manager, you're like, okay, cool. He hasn't done anything for Dave to come back in. So I'm going to be ruthless in his eyes and keep him on the bench.
Yeah.
And now the same people are screaming sentiment. Oh, look what he's done for us. Look how he's been treated. Oh, this is unfair on Dave. No, bruv. This is football.
See, and this is what you get is comments like this. You have no proof that Ites is lying. Well, I do, because there isn't a shed of evidence to suggest that there has been any underhand behavior. So the fact there is no evidence, no story, nothing tangible leads me to believe that it was dealt with in the right way. Whether it was a right or wrong decision is a completely separate conversation. If there would have been a report, say in the Athletic, that there was a kickoff in the dressing room over the treatment of De Gea, then I would back Ites' story. But there isn't a single thing. There is nothing there. And Sean comes back again and says, I like Ollie, but his theories in Ites isn't out of the realms of possibility. Of course it's possible that happened, but where's your evidence to suggest it? The point is as well, I don't necessarily need to prove it. I'm not making the accusation. You're the people that are saying this is what's happened. What's it based on? Oh, my gut feeling. What's your gut feeling based on? And I know what your answer goes straight to. I don't like Ollie. That's all you've got. That is all. It isn't even, trust me, bruv, with sources. There is not a single shred of evidence, whether tangible evidence, whether it's a story, a tweet, body language. And we know, and this is the biggest thing. If you bury your head in the sand with this as Man United fans, I'm laughing inside. We leak like a broken fridge for stories. We always have done. We have done for 5, 6, 7 years. If there was a problem, it would be coming out. But with Pogba looking to renew due to his relationship with Ollie, Cavani being heavily influenced by Ollie to stay, the players, whether you like the football or not, working for him, that is the proof that there isn't these fallouts that everybody's talking.
You know what's mad, yeah? And this is only happening because it's David De Gea. If this wasn't David De Gea, yeah, if this was Scott McTominay went away for the birth of his child, and then someone else took his spot, we never saw him to that, no one's gonna be crying. Look what he's doing to Scott. You know what I mean? They're only doing it to fuel their agenda against Ollie, and it's annoying, bro. Just get over it.
You always see this.
What's it?
So go on.
So he is the manager of Manchester United. He has a right to drop anyone at any time. Like, that is what you call for, right?
But this is exactly it. Your point earlier was bang on. It's the last thing I'm going to say on this matter, as well as put this super chat up from Bashir, who says Ollie doesn't need to do that. He is the manager. He can replace a goalkeeper without any scenario. Ollie out excuse. And this is the point. We call for him to be ruthless, but then when he is ruthless, we turn it into bullying. So what do you want? I'm plagiarizing your words here to an extent. Do you want sentiment FC or ruthless Ollie? I think what you want is ruthlessness to players you dislike and sentiment to players you love. That again, that's you with the lack of integrity as people, not Ollie. That's you looking in the mirror and saying, I treat people badly. I treat Joe Bloggs well because I like him, and I treat John Smith terribly because I don't necessarily like him. That's you as a person with the moral, and that's not me talking to you, Sean, or anybody else. That's why I can't buy into this, because if Scott McTominay had 2 weeks off and Donny van de Beek came into the team and killed it, and then Ollie just let Scott McTominay straight back in again, you'd say, hang on a minute, where's the meritocracy? Well, you know, what's the point of playing well if you can't keep your place? Ollie, you're too sentimental, you're too weak, you have favourites. He does it the other way around, and it's Ollie's a snake, Ollie's a bully. He waited till the man to go have his kid, and then he replaced him. Ollie's got no backbone. Shut up. Like, your excuses. And the thing is, I know what you say because you're all see-through. That's why I don't want Ollie to remain as our manager long-term. I don't think he's good enough. But I will never sit in the same camp as these Ollie outers. These Ollie outers, for me, come out with some outrageous things and some disgusting things at time. I'm really, really sorry.
You know, it's just mad. We need to stop talking about this subject because one, it's boring, and two, it just fuels their agenda, and we're giving it more time than it needs to, innit? So, is what it is. Yo, get over it.
Sorry, I'm sorry to cut in, bro. Tester said, why did he not find a better time to do it? It's just horrible timing. See, I disagree. When was another? If he does it straight after a game, that causes a media uproar of. Has David De Gea had his last game for Man United? You know, as Ollie had totally lost it with him. It was a perfect time to do it. It was a natural break for David De Gea, and it was also less pressured on Dean Henderson, because Dean Henderson wasn't coming in because David De Gea was dropped. He was coming in to replace him while David De Gea was going to be away for a few weeks. If he hadn't have done well in those games, De Gea would have come straight back in. I'm pretty sure Ollie would have had a conversation along the lines of, listen, he's coming, he's done well. We want to test how good he is. We're going to give him some game time and opportunities. You're going to be the cup goalkeeper. Come in and play well, and we'll see how things go. And by the way, I think one more performance from Henderson like the other day, and I can see there being a switch around happening.
Yeah, think about this way. Look at the stress that he's been through the last 2 seasons. All these different things happening to him in terms of his form. His baby is born. Look how much stress that's been. Like, you've had a child recently. He turned 1 recently. Look how much stress that brings to you. You worry about the child. You care about the child. You want things to go right. You want to look after your child, and that brings some another stress, another thing on top of your head. this is a well-deserved break for David De Gea. You know what I mean? We have not been able to give David De Gea a freaking break for however long because he's the only good goalkeeper we got. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And now that he's getting a break, now he's getting time. Because what if this is the break he needs? So next season, he comes back firing again.
Mate, and what if he does? And this is the thing where sometimes I'm a little bit more relaxed with these scenarios because I want to see what happens beyond the end of my nose. Like, let's look beyond the end of your nose and see how it transpires, see how it progresses, see what... I always remember when Angel Di Maria was out injured and Ashley Young came into his position and did really well for 3 or 4 weeks. And Di Maria returned back fit. And there was a lot of calls for Di Maria should walk straight back into the team. And a lot of Man United fans were like, no. We should wait because we have to promote meritocracy. We have to promote, if you play well, you stay in the team to keep competition good in the training ground. And I thought, yeah, great. I was then excited to see Angel Di Maria fight for his place back. He didn't. Threw his toys out his pram and almost instantly said, I'm going to leave. I don't want that kind of behavior. That is the bad behavior. If you have a player that, how the hell am I dropped? That means Ollie is then doing the other thing you accuse him of, having favourites. And that's the point here. If De Gea walked straight back in, it would have been twisted into favouritism, no meritocracy. Yeah. Whatever Ollie does it wrong, we're going to end that element.
Yeah, about to say we'll move on because Dean Jones has just tweeted. You know, Dean Jones, good reporter, very good reporter. You know what I'm saying? Well sourced and well educated in the sphere and that. Sources close to Jadon Sancho are suggesting they're more confident than ever that his transfer to Manchester United will finally go ahead. There's feeling amongst intermediaries in the game that Manchester United's initial offer for Jadon Sancho this summer will be somewhere in the region of 65.
Where was this tweet?
Dean Jones Soccer.
I'm on that.
It might be in a report, and this MUFC MBP account is taking it out. I extracted it. But yeah, the region of 65 to 75 million pounds is going to be what apparently we might be initially offering in the first bid.
Yeah, I mean, Dean. Do you know what's interesting? Dean Jones published this information about 3 hours before the likes of Fork and Fabrizio Romano came out of it yesterday. It's very, very close to happening. There is no doubts about that whatsoever. It's very, very close indeed. Dean Jones is one of the best football journalists in the world. There's no doubt about it. So for me, yeah, it's very, very close to happening. It's very, very close to being agreed. Sancho to Man United, if I was to rate it as a transfer room, it's 5 out of 5. As a likelihood to happen, it's an 8 out of 10 for me. There is no doubt about that.
And if it does happen, I don't care. Anyone says that is a 10 out of 10 transfer. It is. It is. It's a 10 out of 10 transfer. It fills a hole that we've been searching for and begging for since Ronaldo left. He fits the profile of Man United as a young, talented player coming in. He is undoubtedly world class. I don't care what anyone says. And he will fit into the squad like a glove in terms of personality wise. He fits into the squad. The way that he is, the things that he likes, the way that he moves, the way that the swagger he has. Imagine him with a Cavani and a Paul Pogba and a Rashford, bro. You know what I mean? With a Martial and a Greenwood with him as well. Like, it's gonna we need to make it happen. We need to make it happen. We really do. No, educate me about Sancho, bruv. Shut up, Saif. I already know about Sancho, fam. You know what I'm saying? My man just went and scored 2 goals and got an assist in a Pokal final, bruv. He's driving his team forward to go get top 4 when it looked like they were dead. Listen, Jadon Sancho is it, man. I don't care anyone says. I don't know what they're watching if they don't really.
People that don't rate Jadon Sancho for me, I find them to be very strange human beings. As a general rule, I find them very, very strange. Indeed, it's one of them ones for me, bro. Appreciate you coming on this morning, mate, and having your say. Top man. Thank you, bro. Thank you. We're gonna get ZT on. Not spoke to ZT in a while, bro. What you saying, bro?
What you saying? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, brother. Long time no speak.
I know. I just had to come in because there's a lot of there's a lot of propaganda going on right now. This morning, I don't think the Oblak thing's happening. I would love it to happen because I think De Gea has passed it, and I think Dean Henderson isn't good enough, and I think the Sancho thing's definitely happening. Definitely, that should be announced before the summer. But one thing I also want to say, picking up, not to spend too much time on it, was what you and KJ were saying about players, Ollie outers having a certain treatment towards certain players. Do you not believe that Ollie inners have a certain, feel to certain players, that they promote tribalism as much as the Ollie outers?
Oh, mate, listen, without a doubt, if I'm being really blunt, I don't like either camp. And what I mean by that is I annoy both. Both camps hate me. And I get that. The other day, one of our admin guys shared a clip of me talking about how, if you look at the game against Liverpool, the not changing spread sooner, the Rashford starting on the right-hand side, these are reasons why I don't think we'll ever go on to win a major trophy with Ollie, because he persists too much with things that are not working, essentially. Ollie inners straight on me. How dare you criticize him? We've improved this season. He's always a scapegoat. I'm like, see, you haven't listened to my stuff, because I don't scapegoat him on everything. That's a genuine criticism. Equally, I turn around and say there has been progression this season. I think the base of the squad's improved. I think the running of the club has become better from a footballing perspective. I think we have improved overall as a team, and Ollie deserves credit for that. The Ollie outers come in with, how dare you praise him? Is that your standards, Terry? Just to come second? No, I want us to get better from here. But that both groups have no room for criticism or praise in either direction. And for me, both groups, if I could ban them from talking about football, if I had the power, I would. They'd be gone tomorrow, because there's no objective. And the reason I say that is not because I want people's opinion shut down. It's they're not even good at debating, because there's no grey area for them to debate over. This is my opinion, and I'm not listening to anything that isn't matching this. You get where I'm coming from? It's boring. It's, as you say, like the stuff that I said today about David De Gea. I've heard lots of Ollie outers say that, and it's based on nothing. There is no evidence.
The thing is with David De Gea, everything that people are saying about Dean Henderson, how come it wasn't being said when Ramiro was here? Where was the fight to keep Ramiro when Ramiro had good service at the club? Like, where was all of this competition talk when Ramiro was here? Like, forget the aspects of what I test as theories are. I'm just talking about in general. We got to then also take into consideration that this is the thing that I can't stand with Ollie inners. They look for, it's like they look for all the flaws in people. I say in some of these players, like Cavani, they compare it with Martial. Martial don't run, so they're happy with Cavani running around the pitch. He can just run around the pitch until he gets dizzy like a little kid. And then afterwards, they're going to praise that. Dean Henderson, he comes out and punches. He comes off his line, and they're going to praise that. So they're going to ignore everything else that person's bad at and everything else that other person's good at to praise that person.
I agree. And I'm people in the comments here saying, Terry, what are you, an Ollie inner or an Ollie out? Don't sit on the fence. But I'm neither, because I don't. I have opinions that both hold. I'm not in either camp, because both your camps are a fucking embarrassment. They're an embarrassment.
It is.
And the point is this: on Dean Henderson, I've watched him now. I'm not like all those other people. Of course, I want to see academy players make it, because there's a sense of pride in a Rashford, in a Paul Pogba coming through and becoming great. I love that. But at the same time, I'm looking at Dean Henderson, and do you know what I'm feeling when I look at him right now? I'm getting Ben Foster vibes.
Exactly. And what happened with Ben Foster when the crowd came in? He even admitted it himself. It's a Ben Foster vibe / Joe Hart vibe when Joe Hart got too cocky. And that's what I'm getting with Dean Henderson.
Yeah, I agree. But the problem you have with this is whenever I say something that's negative about a Man United player or Ollie, you get the Ollie inners come for me. And when I say something praising about them, I get the Ollie outers come for me. It's because most people nowadays are polarized in life, and they sit in one camp or one camp only. And they bleat on those. I heard people moaning yesterday, Newcastle took it to Man City more than we did. Yeah, they lost though, bruv. And equally, it was a dead rubber game. How are you comparing? I told you how Ollie is Bruce. Like, I'm like, hang on, but you're comparing a dead rubber game to competitive football. They are always different. Like, and this is my point with it. I just sit there and I'm like, yawn. You're boring now. There's a comment here that's from iTest who says we had more points when Jose finished second than when Oli finished second. That's true.
Yeah, that's facts.
That is a fact. And what is the point? My point remains. When we finished second that year with Jose, it was great. We progressed from the previous season. Now we push on to that next level. My view on Oli is the same. We've progressed from last year, which is great. Well done. But let's push on to that next level. Equally, the points thing doesn't matter to me. And you know
I
why?
just want trophies.
Exactly. And do you know what the points thing? Last year, people were telling Liverpool fans, it's not about the amount of points you get to make you the greatest team ever. It's about your overall achievements. So second, with say 8 less points in a trophy is better than finishing second with no trophy and 8 more points, in my opinion, as a singular season. But both of those arguments I don't care about. I just want us to go to the next level next year. My standards remain the same for this club. It's like, for me, it's better than Jose's season when he comes second. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I just want to progress next year. That should be the only thing Man United fans are thinking about is, what are we going to do next year? Not, let's sit here and have a measure our penis competition. Fuck me. It just drives me insane, this bollocks.
Yeah, but I think me personally, like I said, I would prefer an Oblak. Oblak would be my ideal choice. I don't want to see a Dean Henderson in goal, and fans in the comments and whatever can say anything to me, but he's proven. If this was De Gea with these past few performances, he'd be get ripped. De Gea literally is the reason why we're into a final. Let that not go off everyone's head. He's the reason why we're into a final. But because so many people already want him out, that's the reason why no one wants to praise him. He is the reason why we're in the final. He literally saved us single-handedly. But
bro, he did in that semi-final. My view is very simple right now. As I feel right now, I want both De Gea and Dean Henderson to go, and I want a better goalkeeper. I think De Gea is past his best at Man United. I think David De Gea, I think he needs to change himself to get back to the levels that he was at. I don't think he's ever going to get there at Man United. I think he's wanted away from the UK for 3 or 4 years, and I think we should honor and give that to him. But I think we're going to need a better goalkeeper than Dean Henderson. That's my personal thoughts and feelings on the situation, and that's why I'm in neither camp. I'm in Man United's camp here. I want the best centre back best goalkeeper possible, and that's it. I'm not going to get into a sort of a pissing contest with people over the treatment or who's better, who commands their line better. You know what? There are things Henderson does that are a little bit better. There are loads of things.
What's your thoughts on Varane?
Both of them right now. It's as simple and straightforward as that for me. Z, great call as ever. It's nice to get some Alex using it. Top man. Speak to you again soon, my guy. Thank you very, very much indeed. Top man. Comment here says, also, I can see Pogba leaving in the near future, hence we need Sancho. If you remember, Romero said Pogba is leaving last season, but the pandemic stopped it. Yeah, I agree with you. We need to definitely step up in those areas as well. Listen, everyone that's tuned in this morning, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. But until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very